What's up, party people? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully this is working. Let me pull it up on another device and make sure that we are live and kicking. Hopefully you're having an amazing day wherever you are and whatever you are up to. Hey, it's working. As you are tuning in, I'd love to know, number one, wherever you are and whatever you are. Let me get the audio. Oops. There we go. What's up, Jonathan? Nice to see you. As you're tuning in, love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. Number two, I'd love to know three things you are grateful for out there in Facebook world. Tommy, nice to see you. Welcome, sir. I do see that number ticking up. So as it's ticking up, I'd love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. Number two, I'd love to know three things you are currently grateful for today. The reason I asked that question isn't to talk about awesome. Anas, nice to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. William, good afternoon, sir. If I'm looking down, I'm just looking at your comments coming in. I have it on my phone right here so I could see it. William from Philly, what's up? David, nice to see you from the Gold Coast. G'day, mate. Anas from Morocco, welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see. As you're tuning in, love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from, which I'm getting from a handful of people. Freddie, nice to see you. Welcome. I'd also love to know three things that you are currently grateful for. Daniel from Belfast, welcome. William, grateful for my friends, my family, learning to meditate. Good man. David Pasco. Scott, nice to see you from Toronto. Welcome. David says, grateful to wake up today. Nick from Portland, Oregon, welcome. Nice to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'll try to hold this up here so it looks like I'm looking at you. Nas, grateful for my health, God, and for you, Jairek. Well, thank you, sir. Grateful for you as well. From Nigeria, welcome. From Morocco, welcome. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully this will help. 2, grateful for my parents are still alive. I'm actually really grateful for that too. Meg, grateful for a listening ear. Breathing, Wim Hof's, very cool. Grateful for the loves of my kids, very cool. So today, well, for those of you just tuning in, I'd love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. Number two, I'd love to know three things that you are grateful for out there in the world. Daniel says, grateful for my family, my business, and my health. Very, very cool. Neil from Leeds, UK, grateful for my health, my family, my fabulous support, my wife, Nikki. Very cool. Good work, Nikki. David, grateful for you and the value you bring to my life. Well, I'm grateful that you guys show up and want to listen. So today, I'm going to set my phone down so I can look at you beautiful people up here. Today, we're going to be chit-chatting about mental toughness. And this is going to come from a book called Unbeatable Mind by Mr. Mark Divine, who we have had as a guest on JRC TV in the past. If you have not seen that, Concetta says, thanks for my life. I'm always grateful for living as well. If you haven't seen the episode where we had Mark Divine on from Seal Fit, amazing group. And he came on. Rachel, Australia, grateful for living in paradise, stunning day every day that I learn. Cheyenne, grateful that you're here. Anas, yes, good evening. Good evening, Gavin. Welcome. So it's interesting. He's from Seal Fit. He wrote a book called Unbeatable Mind and a couple others as well. And what's wild is in the book Unbeatable Mind, if you talk about mental toughness, the guy who wrote this is the guy who graduated first in his class in BUDS training, which is the Navy SEAL training preparation course, to figure out who makes it as a SEAL and who doesn't. And he's someone who prides himself on, really, truly, he's humble as it can be, but really, truly, you get to know him and you realize mental toughness is one thing that he just owns as a topic in his life, in his business, and everything he does. It's really remarkable. And so there's a handful of things he covers in this book that I thought were super useful. And I thought that's something that you could use in your life and your business and everything that you do. And the first thing in mental toughness, and this is going to sound a little obvious, but the very, very, very first thing that you have to do is you have to win in your mind first. And it sounds obvious, but what he says is you have to discipline yourself to win in your mind prior to every opportunity. So what is that? That is as simple as saying it's mental rehearsal. And mental rehearsal is the ability to mentally prepare yourself for everything you're about to do. It can be as simple as, before I do this Facebook Live, I might close my eyes and I say, okay, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to deliver, 3 out of the key, 7 steps here, or 3 of my favorite steps from this. And I'm going to see myself going through it. I'm going to see myself connecting with people. I'm going to see myself really, truly making a difference in someone's life. I'm going to see this video ripple out into the world and reach someone at the exact moment they need it, in the exact timing in life, at the exact just instant that they needed to hear this message. Boom, it hits them. And I'm like, yes. And I see it happen again and again and again and again. And pretty soon I've won this game in my mind. And so in that concept, I'm going to throw it out to you. And big question for everyone watching. My big question for you is, how many of you, Stuart, nice to see you, sir. Welcome. How many of you take time to mentally rehearse activities before you get into them? Meaning, I don't care if it's 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 12 minutes or 20 minutes, but how many of you take time to actually rehearse up here in your head, maybe 1 to 5 times before you get into the actual activity at hand? I'd love to know that. Farhad, good 2 a.m. morning in Dubai, sir. Welcome. So I'm going to look to the comments real quick. And how many of you, I want to know, actually take time to mentally rehearse? And you could be mentally rehearsing a conversation you're going to have with a family member or friend. You could be mentally rehearsing a conversation you're going to have with a loved one, conversation or a meeting or a presentation you're about to deliver at your office or in your work. You could be mentally rehearsing a sales presentation. You could be mentally rehearsing a performance. Let's say you're an artist out there. You could be mentally rehearsing a coaching session if you're a coach that's listening and tuning in here. Mentally rehearsing a conversation you're going to have with your children or your spouse. But how many of you take time? And if you don't, what I'd love to do is implore you and ask you and challenge you, over the next 7 days, I want you to practice before you do each major activity of your day. So if you're going to go into sales, if you're going to go into a presentation, if you're going to have a special dinner with someone you love, if you're going to spend some time connecting with your kids or your spouse, if you're going to go try something new for the first time, what I'd ask you to do is stop before you get into it and just do it 3 times, 3 repetitions in your head. Just see yourself going into motion, see yourself doing the activity, see yourself successfully accomplishing the activity, and then see yourself going, yes, and enjoying the fact that you just accomplished the activity. Simple as that. And it's a 7-day challenge, really super simple. Just practice before every major conversation, every major meeting, every major presentation. Practice mentally rehearsing it 3 to 5 times. See yourself do it again and again and again. Do it successfully, and boom, that's it. That's all I'm challenging you to do. Stuart says, I love the 7-day challenge. Awesome. David says, sometimes I do. However, thinking about it now, I don't do it enough. Thanks for the reminder. You are welcome. Matt says, I do, and I've discovered that we all do. The difference is you're visualizing intentionally. Ooh, good point. Thank you, Matt, for bringing that up. So some of us, and the key is we all do it just automatically. If I say, think of something important that's about to happen for you tomorrow in your business, a lot of times your mind will start going through all kinds of scenarios almost instantaneously. The tricky part is the only difference between fear and faith is depending on what part or what outcome you see happening. Fear is focusing on tomorrow, a big important activity, and seeing the worst possible outcome happen, and it immediately produces fear in your nervous system. Versus faith is focusing on, or hope or excitement is focusing on what's about to happen tomorrow, that big presentation or meeting or conversation, and seeing the best possible scenario happening and being like, yes, that's the only difference between fear and faith right there. So the big question is, do you live in your fear? Or do you live in your faith? And what we're saying is purposefully choosing to live in faith or to live in hope or to live in excitement by choosing to see into the future, something that has not happened yet, and focus on the good stuff happening, therefore preparing yourself mentally. And if you want to add to this, Here's what's pretty crazy. If you want to add to this really simply, create micro movements in your body to match what it is you're doing. All that means is if you were a athlete, and let's say you're a hockey player, you're going to see yourself and you're going to see yourself skating. And what you might do is kind of lean into that foot, lean into this foot, lean into this foot, move your arms like you're moving, just micro movements, and then see yourself go back, see yourself, bam, slap shot, boom, scores. Yes. You skate out and do the thing. So micro movements. And how would you do micro movements with a presentation? Well, you might just real simple see yourself kind of gesturing, see yourself making a point, see yourself leaning into the conversation. You might, just see yourself really feeling for that other person, a micro movement of staying in your heart, staying present for this person that you're connecting with. Let's see. Intention, great message, always on point. Thank you, sir. I take the 7-day challenge. Awesome. Always looking for the best. I live by faith. Very cool. Sometimes I do. Got it. So we want to bring this challenge to you, and we want to make sure that we challenge you to focus on staying in faith, hope, excitement, the positive side, seeing the desired outcome happening instead of the negative. And therefore, you want to see yourself do it 3 to 5 times each time before every major step that you're going after. Super simple. There's nothing like mind blowing about this. All the research shows when you do this with sports athletes and business people, their performance tends to increase over time because you're mentally and physically preparing your body with the micro movements to overcome the obstacles, which is kind of the next step. The first step is just seeing it 3 to 5 times happening successfully with 0 hiccups or interruption. After that, the next step to advance this is see yourself 3 to 5 times doing it successfully. Then see yourself on the next round, after the 6th time, see yourself doing it, but having a minor roadblock. So something doesn't go on cue. You lose track of what you're talking about. Your presentation falls off. Something kind of messes up the flow. And then see yourself successfully taking a breath, getting right back to where you need to be, and successfully continuing the journey and getting the positive result you're after. Now, that is how to kind of upgrade this process. Is you not only do the first 3 to 5 times, you then add to it minor obstacles that you see yourself successfully overcoming and getting to the end result, which prepares you for anything that could happen. So when it does happen, instead of having your heart rate jump up, your mind gets sidetracked and or stolen by fight or flight and going into a freaking out reaction mode, an obstacle shows up, you've seen yourself overcome it multiple times in your mind, you go, no big deal, you move right through it successfully, you overcome it, and bam, you get the result you're after. Pretty simple and easy. So this next part, so 1 is you got to win in your mind first. 2, it goes right into what we were talking about. You got to starve your fears and feed your courage. And starve your negativity by meaning cut off the thought in motion and replace it with a new positive one. And feed your courage. Create positive replacements in the moment and feed it. So this is something he talks about with the Unbeatable Mind, Mark Divine, and mental toughness. You have to be able and willing to, let's say this is a thread of thought right here in this space. As the thought's going, as soon as it hits a negative direction, instead of waiting for it to finish, you want to cut it off in the middle. Just slice it right there in the middle and replace it with the positive outcome you want to see happening. And in that motion, of what you're doing is you're seeing it in motion. And instead of waiting to get the end result and going, oh my gosh, and freaking out, you see it in motion, you catch it halfway through, you cut it off right there, and you replace it with a positive version of the outcome you do want to have happen. And by practicing this again and again and again, Michelle says, I like that. Starve your fears, feed your courage. Exactly. And this is the concept of, number 2 we're going to talk about tonight. The third one's pretty simple too, but it's important. So the second concept is you want to be able to catch fearful thoughts in motion. Catch them as they're starting to come out of your head, and then literally cut them off in motion. Do not let it finish all the way through. Do not just see where this thought takes you. Literally cut it off, turn it around by adding in a purpose-filled or positive replacement thought and redirect that thought back to where you want it to go. Gavin says, hashtag starve your fear and feed your courage. Yes, sir, that's how you do it. The final piece here is breathe. Breathe, 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 breathe. As a matter of fact, if you're watching this still, take a huge deep breath real quick. So at the top, a little bit more. Hold it. And out. Do that 2 more times real quick. Ready? All the way in. Very top, a little bit more. Hold it. And out. 1 more time. All the way in. A little bit more at the top. Hold it. And out. Now, what's easy about that is those 3 big breaths just like that in that rhythm. So breathe in a little bit more, hold it for like 5-10 seconds, and then drop out of it. What's wild, that alone will reset your nervous system in the moment of stress. The moment where you're starting to go into fight or flight, you're starting to freak out, you're starting to go out of cognition mentally, and you're starting to go into just response mode. And in that moment, you can literally reset your nervous system with 3 deep breaths just like that. Super simple, super easy. Hopefully, if that felt good, if you did those 3 breaths and it felt good, just let me know in the comment section or give me some of those little floating hearts and thumbs up. Always appreciative. I'm going to look down and see what we got going on. Michelle says, LOL. Hopefully that was peaceful and nice. Seeing some little hearts and thumbs floating there. Thank you. Looks like it's working. Good work, team. But with breathing, if you're in a high pressure situation, you need to go back to your zone. And the best and quickest way to do this is something called box breathing. And that's something Mark Devine showed me. Charles says, I needed that. Thanks. Under pressure this week. Stuart says, I use the Paced breathing app each day, every morning. Very cool. I have to check that out. So it's called Paced, Paced breathing. Felt good. Feels so good. Very cool. So it's working. There you go. Thank you, team, for letting me know. So this next part is when you're in a high pressure situation, you might want to take some time to do 3 deep breaths like that, and then follow it up for about 60 seconds, which we can do together. And I'll time it out. I'll grab a little stopwatch here. Let me see. Thank you for sharing with us. You're welcome. Let me switch over to a stopwatch, and we'll do 60 seconds of this together. And the reason I'm going to do it together is I could tell you to do it, or we could just do it here and have some fun. So real quick, all I'm going to do is we're going to breathe in for 4 seconds. We're going to hold it for 4 seconds. We're going to breathe out for 4 seconds. And then we're going to, hold it out for 4 seconds and then breathe in. We're just going to repeat it. Watch the box on the screen. We can go around the corners. Each corner is 4 seconds. So ready? I'll throw it on for a minute. Let's start. So breathe in. Hold it. Breathe out. Hold it out. Breathe in. Hold it. Breathe out. Hold it out. Breathe in. Hold it. Breathe out. Hold it out. Breathe in. Hold it. Breathe out. Hold it out. Breathe in. Hold it. Breathe out. Hold it out. Breathe in. Hold it. And breathe out. Real simple. Just 1 minute. And for most of you out there, let me go back and bring up... Let me go back real quick and bring up your